So the next technique in the video here, essentially you're doing like the Nahanchi, you're putting your palm behind your opponent's head and you're throwing your elbow to your palm here. This is great. This is like dirty boxing tactics essentially, and it's actually kind of what we specialize in, the clinch, right? So stuff like this, most of the time we talk about entrances, but let's say Aaron has his hands up here. You could do this in a couple ways. He has his guard up, right? So it's gonna be hard for me to try to like go through his guard and try to cut behind his head here. He's gonna be blocking his head. That's the most important part of his body. So you can kind of do that in like a pump action where I actually pull open the guard here and I come right back around his head here. Another thing you can do is you could come on the inside, right? So that strategy, the first one was going on the outside and going here. If he blocks this first one here, I can use that as a hook to pull back and come to here. From there, you're able to throw your elbow from there. Or I could go on the inside where I'm actually entering at an angle, because he's going to be blocking my straight attacks here. But if I start coming into at an angle this way, I can use my 45 step and I'm already there to hook behind the neck and I can throw my elbow that way. You want to talk about turning the neck and stuff with the grips?
Yeah, so when you're gripping for the head, even if like you're really in a tussle right here in a fight, if he's a strong dude, he's just gonna pull back on you, brace himself, and you're gonna lose that grip, right? So there's two ways. You can either, when you go for the neck, what I want to do is I want to try to pretend like I'm gripping for the opposite side. There's this muscle that attaches to the back of the base of the skull. That's like your little anchor point, right? So it's right behind, I guess, where your carotid lies, right? So that's where I cinch my fingers into to give myself a good grip on his neck, right? And then once I have that grip on his neck, I'm not just going to hold him straight. I'm actually going to try to turn him this way, right? And that misaligns his body so that it makes it harder for him to pull out. Because if all I do is I just hold here onto the back of his neck, he's got a good base, he can shrug me off, right? So I want to grip, and then I'm going to turn. I'm not going to pull with my arm. My grip is already here, so what I'm doing is I'm turning my elbow in this way, and this keeps him braced here against his chest and here against his neck while I'm pulling in this. And this is where I can unload the elbows as I see fit, right? Because you're going to have a struggle here, okay? So the only other thing that I could say that I can recommend is if you grab over the top of the crown and curl them in, right? Because if I grab over the top of the crown, it's really hard for him to fight that. And this gives you a lot for uppercuts, upwards elbows, even if you let him slide out while he pushes up, it gives you that opening, right? So just remember, here on the opposite side of the neck or over the top of the crown. And even then, I'm still curling him down and in, right? I'm misaligning his posture, bringing him way in front of his feet versus allowing him to stand back here.
And Aaron touched upon a cool thing there where the elbow in the kata shows like a straight elbow, but if you can do an up elbow, a down elbow, whatever elbow you see fit, you're kind of always aiming for openings, right? So if I grab behind Aaron's neck here, and let's say he's still blocking with that hand here, it doesn't really make sense for me to try to just strike that form against form and not get anything done, right? So you can't go for that, but it kind of makes sense to just go right up through the center. And that opens up other things too, right? The more I do this on the center, he's going to try to block that, and now I can go over the top. And causing that reaction is kind of the smarter thing to do, I guess, in the sense that you are feeling what's happening in the fight, and you're not straining yourself or getting too tired just attacking a guard that's not going to get broken.